let me introduce you to a gentleman who intends to put the human back in human resources. There's, of course, none other than Kerr. He's a long-time Redlands resident, a proactive community member, and an independent people and culture consultant who helps small to medium business owners feel protected and safe through specialised advice and support regarding people-related matters. He ensures businesses are compliant with industrial relations and employee relations legislation. He's a tertiary qualified, over 20 years of practical experience, human resources, learning and development, and operational experience professional. His regular client base is broad, covering businesses operating in hospitality, event management, engineering, manufacturing, waste management, transport, disability services, and retail industries, as well as just about everything else we couldn't fit on the page. His passion lies in people being good humans. That's actually very powerful, isn't it, Des? And providing positive outcomes for his clients and their teams. Please join me in thanking and welcoming Des to present Building a Vibrant Workplace Culture.
So yeah, I've just recently joined the Redlands Regional Jobs Committee to try and help make a difference in the region, and I am the club president of the Coochie Mudlow Surf Club. Great to see one of our members here, brings her nippers along every Sunday, and also have some of my clients in the room as well supporting, which is awesome. But my family and I started in lifesaving when my daughter was 8. And she's 25 now, and she still volunteers with me over at the club. So we've been very much in the community for a long time. Sorry, my wife's the secretary, should mention that, otherwise I'll get into trouble. So what have we learnt this morning? For our visual learners in the room, thought we'd just put this up. This is what Sharon's created for you this morning. There's your unicorns. She actually found you 2. That's good. 2 for the price of 1. But what do you notice about where the unicorns are? What's their environment like? It's pretty lush, isn't it? It's green, it's vibrant, there's lots of probably nutrients, sustainable. What we're going to be talking about now is she's found your unicorns. You can't just put them in a dry paddock, being your workplace. It's up to you to create a workplace environment, and that's where the people and culture part of my business name came in, because culture is so important. No point investing in recruitment. Great presentation, by the way, Sharon. You didn't look nervous at all. The only thing I was worried about when you said about a passion for painting your nails, you looked directly at me. So I'm not sure why, but we'll talk about that later. So we're talking today about creating an environment where people will want to stay. So just quickly, so you know where my credibility is and what my background is and how I can stand up and talk today. I started my career as a salesperson at Lowe's with those crazy footballers doing those crazy ads, and I started off on the shop floor selling socks and undies, sometimes having to measure inside legs. That all went with the territory, that sort of thing. But I spent 18 years there. Retail taught me how to talk to people, because when I first started, I was down the back doing the stock, hated talking to people, made me sick. And now I'm in a job where I have to talk to people every day. So at the last 6 years of that, I got into training in HR, and that's when I got my passion for HR and went and did my degree, and the career started there. From there, went to Maloof Pharmacies. I was the HR manager there, 18 pharmacies, over 250 staff across Queensland. They've now since merged with Ramsay Healthcare. So we used to have the 2 Maloof Pharmacy stores in Cleveland here. There was 18 of those. Then I tried not-for-profit for a little while, 6 years with Surf Life Saving Queensland. That was a byproduct of being a volunteer, and opportunity came up for me to work in the not-for-profit space, which was fantastic. I must say, great mentors, absolutely great mentors. That's how I built my career, with people supporting me through. And then 4 years ago, decided, my wife's discussed, to start my own business, leave corporate world, and went, I can do this. HR's my passion. Where is my passion? Small, medium business. Particularly found that niche where a lot of you don't have budget to be putting on full-time HR, don't need full-time HR, but need advice, need support. And that's where I've found, particularly in the Redlands, where I'm supporting a lot of businesses, from businesses with 1 staff up to 50. Beyond that, then they start putting on, HR, admin and things like that. So that's my background. I've grown up managing people, dealing with staff, and enjoyed that journey. So what I want to talk about today is more on the culture side of things, like we talked about, creating that great environment, the things that we see about your business, but obviously, as we know only too well, what are the things that make up your culture? I saw a post on LinkedIn just the other day that really resonated with me, and it said, your culture is not about the posters on your wall or what's on your website, it's about how your staff feel on a Sunday night before they're about to come back to work Monday, unless it's Tuesday because you're giving them an RDO. But how do they feel about coming to work? How do they talk about your business at a barbecue? How do young people coming into our business, brand new to the workforce, how do they go home and talk to their parents about you as their leader, as their boss, as their manager? What's the impact on them? We all in this room would have stories of people we've mentored, but I'm right, and you're seeing them now in new roles and new journeys, and they maybe started with you. Sure, they left you, but you put them on a journey. So culture, we all know we walk into businesses and we can feel the vibe. You know that great line from The Castle, it's the vibe of the thing. You know, like Sharon's story about walking into a business and the staff were demotivated, morale was low. We've got to build that culture where, you know, the customer service is great, they're feeling great about coming to work, and we'll talk about leadership certainly next, but it comes back to you. You set the culture. And as it says there, how you interact with your employees, your customers, community, how you integrate with the community and what you do for community as well as a business. That's important to people these days, very, very important. So what sort of culture do you have? So obviously, as we got here, you know, we want a positive culture. So some of the things that Sharon also talked about, providing flexibility, we'll come to that. Empowerment, giving our staff empowerment to make decisions, come to work, have input, not just shutting things down. And being mindful of, you know, you're the leader, which we'll talk about, but also those other senior staff in your business. You know the ones, they've been there for 5, 7, 10 years, know it all. How are they impacting on your staff in your business when you're not around? They're the people that help create your culture. And on the other side, is your business hierarchical? Is it bureaucratic? Is it power-driven? Things like including your mission and your values in your onboarding, building culture into work processes, hiring for the cultural fit, as we've already talked about, but really getting that good vibe in your workplace. And where does that start? It starts with you. So one of the things that Sharon alluded to, I'm very passionate about, you know, that pre-boarding stage. Have you heard the word pre-boarding before? So that's critical. So let's say you found your unicorn, and your unicorn is a star performer where they're in a business where they've actually got to give 4 weeks notice, up to 4 weeks notice. What happens in that 4 weeks between you offering them the job and them starting with you? Is it just radio silence? Or are you working on things in that 2 weeks to integrate them into the business? So when I first started at Maloof Pharmacies, I had an opportunity. I had some time up my sleeve. I took 2 days out of my work with Lowe's because I had to give the 4 weeks notice. And they gave me 2 days at Maloof Pharmacies to sit in the HR chair, start to work on a few things. The after-drink beers and the nibblies did help. But they introduced me around the office. So guess what? Day one, I already knew a lot of the people. I'd already connected. I already had a vision of what the owner was wanting from me in the HR position, because we really had to hit the ground running. So some of the things, you know, the welcome emails, sharing any agendas. Worst thing you want for a new starter to come on board. Yeah, we had a really awesome conference last week and had all our suppliers and our reps there. It was really great. Shame you missed it. Is there an opportunity to get them along to that and integrate them to the business, even though they haven't started? Getting the work environment and equipment ready. So when I say, remember back in the day, I know I'm showing my age, back in the day it was, morning Frank, there's your desk, welcome, day one, I'll see you at lunch, do your best, and don't bother talking to Mary till after 10 because it's not a good choice. So actually I won't sit you near Mary. So making sure anything you do in that 4 weeks, the worst thing you want is for Sharon to find that person and in that 4 weeks they change their mind, as we know. And they get a better offer at their workplace, and I'm sure Sharon will help cover that off in interviews. but you need to be engaging with people at that pre-boarding stage. So day one is feeling good. And then of course the onboarding. Just making sure these days, what does day one look like? It's work for you as an owner, as a business owner, as a director, as a leader, but you've got to plan out what does day one look like for that brand new employee. You've got to map that out. What does week one look like? And what does first month look like for that new employee? You should have a plan in your business, whatever that is, budding them up with people, what work they're going to be doing, just making sure they're not sitting idle and having too much time to think. That first, I often talk to people within that 6 months is that real time when they're making that decision. If someone says to me at 3 months, look, Des, I'm really not sure about this new job, I'm not getting the vibe, you've got to give it, I say to them, you've got to give it at least 6 months. Don't make the call too early. But it's up to you how you onboard them and making sure they're buddied up, know what they're doing. Computers ready on day one, if it's a computer-based role, with their emails, and maybe there's a welcome gift pack that you can have from the business. A lot of businesses doing that now. What does it look like with some coffee vouchers or whatever it might be? But think a little bit about that as your onboarding process, and we can certainly help with that. All right, so another hat that you have to wear, of course, is we're going to talk about you for a minute. So whether you're a leader, whether you're a business owner, whether you're a director, whether you've got one business or you've got 4, the buck stops with you, doesn't it, as a leader? So what kind of leader are you? Are you a good leader? Are you a mentor? Do you walk in of a morning and greet your staff? Okay, some businesses I see don't. Leader comes in straight to the office, shuts the door, maybe doesn't shut the door. I've got some great examples where, I've got a director at a client that I go to on a Monday down the coast. First thing he does is spend 15 minutes upstairs, downstairs, walking around. How are you this morning? What did you get up to? How was your weekend? 15 minutes, I watch him until he gets to his office. And then he'll come out during the day. It's the old management by walking around, getting a feel for the team. And the team love it. Same at Maloof Pharmacies. We had upstairs, downstairs. Every morning we would go and say good morning and welcome people. And plus we knew then who was in the business. I always found that you covered 4 or 5 things off your to-do list on that walk around in the morning rather than sending an email back upstairs. There's so many benefits from it. But again, leaders, firstly, demonstrating those expected behaviours. Our staff are always watching us, don't you think? How do you deal with difficult customers as a leader? Do you lose it? Do you do a John Cleese and just go nuts? Do you? How do you deal with the community? How do you deal with challenges? Always remember when I got transferred from one Lowe's store to a bigger store, and something happened, I can't remember the exact example, where it hit the fan. And the way that I dealt with it was obviously different to the way the previous manager dealt with it. And I remember the staff saying, oh, can you imagine if that was Dennis? He would have lost it. I see you guys and all of us, we have to be that swan on the lake, don't we? Have you heard that analogy? We've got to be graceful, but underneath the legs can be paddling like crazy. But the staff don't have to see that. Nothing worse than walking into a business as a staff member and your manager is erratic first thing in the morning, losing it, impatient. You want to have an environment where we know every day, your staff know every day who they're going to get. It can't be that, and I've got one client that does that, do not go and see that person on a Monday. You can't talk to her on a Monday. Well, that's no good in a senior position. Yes, your staff have to be able to be comfortable to come and talk to you. If I get asked by an owner, why did the staff member tell you that, Des, and not me? My response is you have to answer that, because you've got to create an environment where your staff will come to you about anything. That's up to you. So communication, another biggie. I can't stress it enough how important communication is and talking to your people, whether it's good because they've done a great job or whether there's issues and you need to address them, and we'll talk to that as well. But sometimes we forget. I get called in, Des, we've got a disciplinary matter, we need to deal with this, let's work on it. How's it going? Yeah, the employee's really improved. Great. Have you given them that feedback? No, not yet. Okay, making the time to do both ways. And then this again is critical, the regular catch-ups with the manager, the boss. Those that have more regular catch-ups are going to be more engaged in their business. And that can be while you're working in the shop. It can be sitting down formal at a coffee shop. It can be a walking meeting. But taking the time to talk to your people, like Sharon talked about again, providing course correction, commenting on recent work. And what's one of the golden rules? Never address one of your staff members when you're in the heat of the moment. I used to go out the back, kick a box, de-stress, then approach it, or I'd wait till the next day. So then you're a bit more composed to say, hey, let's just have a chat about that customer interaction yesterday. Don't do it in the heat of the moment, because you will say something you regret. And then take time to celebrate in your business. Anniversaries, keep a record of people's start dates. That's important to people. Don't miss those 5, 10, 15, 20-year anniversaries. Don't miss people's birthdays, as we talked about. You know, celebrate. I've sat in an office once where your birthday come and went, no one said a thing. Doesn't make you feel real good. Think about the ways you could recognise your staff. Stand up weekly meetings with your staff. They're also good ways to recognise people. And then Sharon did touch on this as well. It's so important now to have that flexible environment. It's not all about working from home. People think, oh, I can't have people working from home. It's early start, late finish. I've got a client where one of the dads leaves in the morning to take his son to swimming. One of the senior leaders takes his son to swimming and then he comes back to work. That's flexibility. And these days they talk about if you're the CEO of a business, don't grab your gym bag and sneak out of the office to go to the gym early. Be proud and say, righto everyone, I'm off to the gym. See you tomorrow. Set that great example that the boss is willing to do it as well. You all know this, the skills development, career advancement. We have to look after our people's development. Most things in HR, we work to the 70-20-10 rule. So 70% of development and learning can be on the job, 20% can have a mentor, and then 10% is where you might invest in a course. So it's not all about having to spend a lot of money. You can do a lot of the development on the job, but still you need to have a training budget to invest in training. So that's normally how you work things. And then of course these days, I don't know why I did that. These days, wellness is such a big part of the business. So when I was a trainer back with Lowe's, I would actually train in my training sessions, you know what, the boss doesn't care about your problems. You remember that? Leave them at the front door, pick them up on your way out. That's what we used to teach people. You can't do that now. Our people are holistic in terms of what we offer them as an environment. Sharon touched on the gym memberships, can be counselling sessions. And as small businesses, there are opportunities out there for EAP that we could share with you. It's not all about trying to sign up to the big companies that offer EAP. There are solutions out there for small business where we can support our staff with their mental health. It's very, very important that we have those options. And then the conflict resolution, getting there, Kate. Conflict resolution, you have to be able to deal with the conflict in your business. Don't let it fester. Because as we know what happens, your unicorns will see that, and if you're not dealing with it, they might leave because of that. She's always getting away with that. He's always getting away with that. Removing toxic people from your business can have a massive opportunity on what happens in your business. It's life-changing. And it's all about having the right advice on how to do that. So don't be afraid of it, but that's a big one to deal with. Just conscious of my time. And then continuous improvement. That's the awesome thing about business, isn't it? Innovating, looking at ways doing things differently, getting that input from our staff, you know, taking on board their ideas and floating them and seeing if things can work. We should be doing that all the time in business, trying to better ourselves. So that I went through that pretty quick and my time went pretty quick, but these are all things that can help create that great environment, and ultimately we want to become an employer of choice. You want people to want to work for you. That's the best form of recruitment, isn't it? People knocking down your doors. Customers are always a good one coming in the store. Great customers can turn sometimes into good staff members. Just be careful, my last thing, just be careful with husbands and wives working together. I did have an owner ring me once who his wife was an employee, and he asked me, true story, how do I give my wife a warning? Well, my wife and I have been married for 29 years, so I could imagine that at home. But I said to him, you're asking the wrong man. You need to get some other advice. I'm not touching that. This is the mother of your children. You've been married for so long. Your wives don't get warnings. You'll have to deal with that in a different matter. I gave him some advice, not that I'm a marriage counsellor, but that's not HR. So, righto, thanks everybody. Thanks.